Good morning, Year 6, and welcome to this Wednesday morning arithmetic paper. And in a moment, I'm going to be going through this particular paper, arithmetic paper 3. But before I do, I thought it might be quite useful for us to have a little mini booster, if you like. And I noticed that last week a few people seemed to struggle to remember how to add and subtract decimals. If you're completely confident with this, then feel free to forward to the next part of the video. However, I also thought it might be quite useful to offer to do some extra, very short video boosters on elements of arithmetic that you might be struggling with. So what I would really like you to do today, please, is at the end of this arithmetic, if you have forgotten how to do something or need some extra help, maybe it's multiplying fractions, or maybe it's BODMAS, or anything that you would like to be reminded of, could you please send that either as a message to your teacher or preferably straight to teacher support. I will collect that information, and the most popular thing that people would like to recap, I'll make a short video booster session for next week and make sure that that's on YouTube before we do next week's arithmetic. Okay, so whatever it is, if you want me to cover it, I'll take whatever the most votes are. So whether it's multiplying decimals, multiplying fractions, doing cubed numbers, or BODMAS, whichever gets the most comments, I will then do a short, just 5-minute video for you to have a watch of before we do our next arithmetic paper. Okay, so I thought I would take a guess at one of the things that people are still getting confused about, and that is adding and subtracting decimals. This was a question from last week's arithmetic paper. It was question 10, and it was 2.81 add 0.006. And as I said in that video, the most important thing is that we write this calculation down in the box and we line up our decimal points. So it should look like this once you come to do it. And trust me, it is so much easier if you do this than trying to do this calculation in your head. Now then, the thing we notice straight away is that there are fewer decimal places in the top number than there are in this number. So the one thing I have to do is what? That's right, I am going to add a placeholder 0. With my wobbly handwriting pen, I apologize. Well, that's one of the best I've ever done, I think. So now we can add these two decimal numbers up. Quite simply, 6 add 0 is 6. 1 add 0 is 1. 8 add 0 is 8. This will be tricky for my pen skills. The next thing we do is put our decimal point in straight away. There we go. Decimal point, and then finally 2 add 0 is 2. So our answer is 2.816 because we've lined up our decimal points and we've added a placeholder 0. I'm going to show you another example now. This type of question, I'm giving you a good warning here. This is very similar to a question that's going to come up in this morning's arithmetic paper. It's 204 take away 36.8. So we've got a whole number here and we're going to take away a whole number and a decimal. So once again, we need to line up our decimal points. But I hear you saying, well, there isn't a decimal point in 204. The thing we have to remember is that 204 is exactly the same number as 204.0, because it just means 204 and no parts, no bits of a whole number. So 204 is exactly the same as 204.0. It's also the same as 204.0000000, because it doesn't matter how many zeros are after the decimal point, it's still no parts, no decimals. So let's have a look at going back to this original calculation. 204 take away 36.8. It should look like this in your book or in your paper. 204.0, there's my placeholder 0, take away 36.8. And now we can simply do that as a normal column subtraction. 0, take away 8. Remember, it's in that order. It's not 8 take away 0. It's 0 take away 8. We can't take 8 away from 0 without exchanging. So we're going to exchange one of these ones onto here to create 10. Now 10 take away 8 is 2. The next thing we're going to do is line up our decimal points. Always for addition and subtraction. Next, 3 take away 6. We can't do without exchanging, so we're going to have to exchange again. Oh, now then, we can't exchange from there, so we need to come all the way to here to exchange 1 from here to make 1 to make 10. We will leave ourselves with 9. And now we can pass that one to the 3. So now it's 13, take away 6 is 7. 9 take away 3 is 6. We could put a placeholder 0 in here and say that 1 take away 0 is still 1. Not 0, remember. 1, you take away nothing from 1, you've still got 1. Okay, so our answer for here, 204, take away 36.8, is 167.2. Remember, always line up our decimal points. If it's a whole number and it hasn't got a decimal point, then we're going to add 1 and add a 0. And then we make sure we exchange as we need to. I hope that helps as you go on to today's arithmetic paper. Let's do that now. And here are the questions. Question 1. 79 multiplied by 7. Question 2. 1067 take away 100. Pause now if you need to. Question 3. 7.1 add 0.2. We've just discussed these. Line up the decimal points. Question 4. 21 multiplied by 7. Question 5. 2687 plus 698. Question 6. 12 times 11. Do you know your 11 times table or your 12 times table? Question 7. 596 add 7. You can either do that in your head, or as I would always recommend, write the calculation down using column addition. Next, 7/9 take away 2/9. If the denominators are the same, you can just take away the numerator. Question 9. 232 multiplied by 0. 232 times 0. Question 10. 0.2 plus 0.04. We've just done a question exactly like that in my little booster. So just think about lining up those decimal points and put a placeholder in if you need to. Question 11. 5 squared plus 2 squared. Can you remember how to do that? 5 squared plus 2 squared. Okay, question 12. 2.172 multiplied by 1000. This was our lesson a couple of weeks ago now. We don't have to write it out in a column addition or column multiplication rather. We just move the number. Can you remember where we move it and how many times? Question 13. Something equals 8,825 plus 7,061. Just add them together. Question 14. 1/6 plus 5/6. The denominator is the same. What are you going to do about it? Can you simplify your answer? Question 15. 8 times 800. Just make sure you set that out in the formal multiplication column method, and it's easy peasy. Or some of you might be able to do it in your head. 10 times 1,000 is question 16. And question 17, 307 take away 24.7. Now this is exactly the same as the one I just showed you earlier. 307 take away 24.7. It's a whole number. Can you turn that into a decimal and then line up the decimal points? Question 18, 1,080 divided by 9. Question 19, 20% of 1,800. Now we've not done percentages yet. We start learning about percentages tomorrow. So by next week you'll be able to smash these. Have a go if you think you can. If you know what 10% of 1,800 is, then you can just double it. Otherwise, just wait till next week and you'll be experts. The next question. Question 20. 6.01 multiplied by 7. Now remember, when we multiply by a decimal, just ignore that decimal point and then add in the amount of decimal places there are to your answer right at the end. 90,000 take away 90. If you can't do that in your head, then make sure you use the column method, lining up the columns appropriately. Question 22. 20.3 take away 12.09. Just like I showed you at the beginning of this video, line up the decimal places and add a placeholder 0 if you need to. You will need to. So add a placeholder 0 where you need to. Question 23. 7,045 divided by 4. Divided by 4. Question 24. 57 multiplied by 28. It's set out for you here. Can you remember what you need to do with this area here? What do you need to add? Very good. Question 25. 134,905 take away 117,567. That's a big number, but it's an easy subtraction if you line them up. And make sure you exchange where you need to. 2/3 multiplied by 1/3. Can you remember how we multiply fractions? That's it. Times the top, times the bottom. Simplify if you can. Next. 3,612 divided by 12. Write your 12 times table down the side here in your little sausage or your little Bible or whatever it is you want to call it. It looks to me, just off the top of my head, using my math skills, that you won't need to go very far into your 12 times table. Definitely wouldn't go further than 5. You probably need fewer than that. Okay. Question 28. 2/5 divided by 2. This is a division of fractions. So we need to do what? 3 little letters. That's right. We're going to turn the 2 into a fraction by putting 2 over another number. Can you remember how to do that? And then we just keep, change, flip. Next, 29. 15 times 1.5. Pause now if you don't want any clues for this. You can simply multiply 15 times 1 and then 15 times a half. 15 times a half is the same as saying what is half of 15. So then add those two together. So 15 times 1, 15 times a half, and add those two numbers together. Question 30. 1 7/10 at 2/3. 1 7/10 at 2/3. This might be something that you would like a booster session on. Add in mixed numbers and fractions with different denominators. So if you would like extra help on this, excuse me, then please make sure you send a message in on the teacher support chat to say you'd like a boosters on adding fractions, and I'll do it next week. Next, 31. 912 times 67. Before we do our calculation, it's a double-digit multiplication. What do we put in here? Question 32. 25 divided by, in brackets, 12 minus 7, close brackets. Stop! If there's more than one operation, wait before you do the calculation. Write the word across the top of the page and then do it. If your parents are listening to this, they'll think Mr. Long's gone crazy. 65% of 360 we haven't taught you how to do, but we're going to in the next week, so don't panic. Question 34. 3/4 take away 1/5. Those denominators are not the same and they'll need to be. So what number is in the 4 times table and in the 5 times table? See if you can work that out. Once you've done that, whatever you did to the bottom, you do to the top. Question 35. 3034 divided by 41. You're going to need your 41 times table down the side here. I don't know, I reckon you might need quite a few to get up to 300, so you might even have to go up to about 10. And finally, 1/5 divided by 3. Can you remember how we divide our fractions? If not, let me know on a post on our chat on teacher support, and we can add that to a booster for a future week. If you can remember, just keep change flip. And here are the answers. Question 1, 553. Question 2, 967. Question 3, 7.3. Question 4, 147. Question 5, 3,385. Question 6, 132. Question 7, 603. Question 8, 5/9. Question 9, 0. Question 10, 0.24. Question 11, 29. Question 12, 2,172. Question 13, 15,886. Question 14, 6/6, or if you simplified it, 1. 6 over 6 is the same as 1 whole one. Question 15, 6,400. Question 16, 10,000. Question 17, 282.3. Question 18, 120. Question 19, 360. Question 20, 42.07. Question 21, 89,910. Question 22, 8.21. Question 23, 1,761.25. You could have had 1,761 remainder 1, but I'd much prefer it if you get used to using decimals. Question 24, 1,596. Question 25, 17,338. Question 26, 2/9. Question 27, 301, and that's a 2-point question. Question 28, 1/5. Question 29, 22.5. Question 30, 2 and 11/30. Question 31, 61,104. That's another 2-point question. Make sure you put your, as long as you put your 0 placeholder in the tens column, I will give you that as a 2-point question, even if you got the answer incorrect. Question 32 is 7. Question 33 is 234. Question 34 is 11/20. Question 35 is 74. I will give you a mark if you got the wrong answer. I'll give you a mark if you managed to do your 41 times table up to 7 times. And finally, question 36 is 1/15. Please mark your test papers now and make sure you clearly write your score out of 40 at the end of your paper, and then take the photograph and send it to your teachers so they can clearly see the score you got. I really hope you got a higher score than last week or the week before, but if you didn't, don't worry. This is a steady progress. Okay, if over the course of this half term we've made some progress, that will be great. And finally, don't forget, if you've got something you would like me to cover in a boosters lesson next week, just a 5-minute video, let me know on the teacher support page. I'll count up what's the most popular thing that people are finding tricky, and I will do a video lesson on it before next week's arithmetic paper. Okay, take care everyone. Bye bye for now.